What's up, everybody? It's Russell here with $30 budget vintage again, and I just wanted to take a quick second and record a video on how we price decks and how we use Moxfield to do that. We've had a bit of an influx of folks coming into the Discord lately, which is super exciting. A whole new batch of minds working on brewing stuff up. But the questions come up a couple times. How do you guys price decks? You're a budget format. What do you use to do that? And how do we all stay consistent? The short answer is that we use TCGPlayer Market for all of our prices. We tend to deck build on Moxfield.com. The reason we do that is because it's super easy to have them display your prices in TCGMarket. I'm going to show you how to get your account set up really quick. It's super easy. Account settings, pricing and affiliates over here. And you can just change to TCGPlayer. I think it defaults to Card Kingdom, but TCGPlayer, dollars, save changes. Once you do that, you should be more or less set up. But there's a couple other things I want to talk about. One is basic lands, right? So it displays a price for basic lands here. What I'm going to show you right now, and you can see this in Moxfield's FAQ, if a basic land costs less than $1, it does not get counted. It'll display a price here, but it won't affect your total price here, okay? It says that in their FAQ, and I'm going to demonstrate that. I've got 17 swamps at a total of 68 cents. Keep in mind, this is a running total. It's not 4 Hymn to Turoks at $1.20 each. It is 3 Hymn to Turoks. The total is 90 cents, so it's a 30-cent card, right? Just keep that in mind. So I've got 17 swamps. It's pricing this version at 68 cents. That's a good segue into the fact that it does care about the printing. So if I go to a 32-cent swamp here, it's going to change the price, right? So you can change what printing it displays in here, and it does actually affect your total price. We always use the cheapest available printing on TCGPlayer Market. What that means is we're pulling data from the same place. You don't get to use a $10 card and say it costs $2 just because your buddy sold it to you for $2. It's got to be, the market price, right? But anyway, we have $5 in swamps here that I'm going to prove isn't being counted in our $32. I'm just going to take all these swamps out. Our total didn't change. That's because each swamp is less than the threshold of $1, so it doesn't affect the deck. Now here I've put in one swamp. It's a Foil Dominaria Remastered swamp. It's $5. That's above the threshold of $1, so it's currently affecting my budget. So what I'm going to do is... Oh, you can also see the Excluding Basics tab. See how I tabbed over here? And right above the wildcards it says Excluding Basics. So that's a way to get out of that. But I'm going to show you here that this $5 swamp was affecting the total. I've removed it. Now I'm at $27. Now, one thing to talk about, they will always count non-basics, by the way. So Mishra's Factory is being counted. It's 32 cents for the 4 of them. We removed it. Our price dropped. So non-basics are counted. Now, let's talk snow basics. In our format, again, this is $30 budget vintage. So it's vintage banned and restricted list, 60 card format, 1v1. And your sideboard cards do count as well, by the way. Snow-covered lands are legal, but you got to pay for them. That's the thing. It's not a free roll to have snow-covered lands, and honestly, the main reason for that, Arcum's Astrolabe. Arcum's Astrolabe is a pretty messed up card. If snow-covered lands were free, then it would be kind of a free roll for every deck to play for Arcum's Astrolabe for color fixing and consistency. It would make Yorion a lot more appealing, which companions are legal, by the way. We do use the official companion rules, which means you pay 3 mana to take it from your command zone into your hand. But Lurrus is legal. Lurrus was briefly banned in Vintage before they nerfed the entire companion mechanic, and now Lurrus is back. Lurrus is playable. But snow-covered lands, again, you have to pay for them, but there's no way for Moxfield to calculate it because it detects them as a basic land that's below $1. So if I were to remove this 26-cent snow-covered swamp, It's not going to change my price, which is unfortunate because we do need to price that. So unfortunately, right now you have to do it manually. We've actually reached out to Moxfield through their Discord, and I think they're looking into allowing a way for snow bases to get priced because it'll be really helpful to us. I've seen a lot of people brewing Yorian, Bring to Light, Snow piles lately, so it'll make that a little bit easier. That's really the gist of it. I will say over here under advanced settings, there's some additional stuff that you can display how your decks, you can change how your deck is displayed. I personally like to sort by mana value and then name, but you can sort by like type and then mana value, which will give you like planeswalkers, creatures, sorceries, like that. The important thing here is include extra data. I think it's very important to include price when you're doing your list, because it's not super helpful to me to know that this deck is $26, but I don't know where I'm spending my money. I don't know that I'm spending $7 on Turok, Dread, Cantor. So I like to click price, and then I like to hit set as default for others. I believe that makes it so that everyone sees more or less the same thing. So just keep that in mind. Displaying price is very helpful. I will say one thing that's a little bit weird. So Everett sent this Bring to Light deck. Couple things about it. Right now it displays as $50. It's not a $50 deck. It is the correct price, but because I'm not signed in here, it is using default, which I think is Card Hoarder pricing. So if I go to buy deck, or Card Kingdom pricing, sorry, $50. But if I tap TCG Player, $28.25, right? That's the correct pricing. So if I were to just sign in here, I'm not going to because I've got a microphone in front of my keyboard. If I signed in, it would display it properly. Minus the fact that snow-covered planes need to be counted as well. So keep that in mind. As far as I know, there's not a setting on the account side that can make it so everyone sees it properly. So just only browse decks signed in is probably the best way to do that. I think that's really everything about pricing. A couple more items. Oh, yeah, so, man, I hate that we have to talk about this, but because of the most recent unset, Unfinity, there are cards that require you to have a sticker deck. I think that Blank Goblin is the most important one, I think. Actually, let me pull it up. Blank Goblin, right? So its effect is predicated on the idea that you have a sticker deck. A sticker deck is 10 of the Unfinity sticker cards. In each game, you select 3 of them to use. And it's complicated to price those for a couple reasons. I've talked about it in the deck, which I'll link below. But basically, they're not real cards, and they're also not in demand enough that there's accurate pricing data from them being sold. So our current stance is to make sticker decks free. You don't have to pay for your stickers. I was looking on, I think Star City was the only website I could find them to buy, and they were selling for like 10 to 25 cents each. But I did look up in the comprehensive rules, and there is a snippet that says specifically sticker cards are not real Magic cards. It's kind of like tokens. We don't make you pay to have the correct tokens. I don't see why it would make you pay to have stickers. Maybe that'll change someday. I don't think that it will unless Mind Goblin starts ruining the format. The same is true for attractions. Your attraction deck is free, but your cards that produce attractions are not free. So feel free to go nuts with that. Attractions are artifacts, so you can tinker them away if that's what you're into. So do something to make us reconsider our pricing on that. The last thing I want to talk about is how we typically handle basically price verification for our weekly events and our larger events. So for weekly events, where we have 4 to 10 people just playing on a Saturday for $10 buy-in for a little bit of credit. Truthfully, we've gotten pretty lax. We're a pretty tight-knit community, and we're all pretty up on our pricing, so I don't know if I've actually ever seen anyone deck teched at one of those. We just assume that everyone's correct, and usually we'll we'll all be there, half hour or an hour before the event starts, and people will be like checking their lists and cutting a sideboard card or two to get down to price. But for big events, which this is relevant, for big events, typically we have a window prior to the event, usually something like 2 to 3 weeks from the date of the event. You're able to you're able to submit your deck list. You would send it to one of the TOs, one of the tournament organizers, and at the point that you select your deck list, it's locked in and your prices are locked. Typically, we allow that to go on up until a couple of days or a week before the tournament, and then at that point, everyone's decks are locked in. Then on the day of the tournament, we will have deck checks every round randomly. So hypothetically, you might be asked to pull up your Moxfield list, or we'll pull it up because you submitted it to us, and we'll go through your deck and make sure that everything is as it was submitted and the total submitted list is below $30. This is relevant because, believe it or not, February 25th at Jester's Comics and Games in Milford, Ohio, we are planning a win-a-box tournament, but if we get above 24 people, that win-a-box is going to turn into a win-a-Taiga. That's right, a Taiga, a dual land. So for the low price of a $30 deck to play, and I don't know if we have the entry fee locked in yet, it's going to be something reasonable. You can win a Taiga. There's also going to be non-Taiga store credit payout. We're working on finalizing that. I'll have a link to the announcement and prize structure pretty soon. But keep in mind, we do have a pretty high-stakes event coming up, and pricing is going to matter for that. We're also talking about having some online tournaments coming up this year, as well as more paper tournaments in the Cincinnati area, which is where we're based, by the way. So if you guys have any questions about pricing, if I left anything out, please drop it in the comments below, or you can hop into the Discord. I'll include a link to that as well, and whatever I overlooked, we can get updated. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Just a quick little video to show you how to price, all right?